As many of us get out to enjoy the water, the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation is heading out to study it. This week, we rode along to show you how it's done.
We started sampling systematically, which had never been done before.
Not before 2018, when red tide was killing thousands of marine animals and Southwest Florida's tourism industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's the lifeblood of our economy is tourism.
To save both, Eric Milbrandt and his team do monthly water sampling at 14 different sites.
We're most interested in not only the blooms, but the causes of the blooms, how they form, how they grow.
Our first stop was just between the Sanibel Causeway and Lighthouse Beach.
Where we're at now is pretty much right at the mouth of where the Gulf of Mexico meets the estuaries. This is kind of a place where we might expect to see the beginnings of the dinoflagellate species that causes red tide.
They break out multiple tools to measure things like nitrogen and phosphorus levels, chemicals that fuel harmful algae blooms.
What she has is called a pole sampler.
They fill up bottles to search for stuff you can only see under a microscope.
In order to measure the amount of toxins in the sample, we filter a liter of water.
Then pack it up and do it all over again. The good news is, based on July's samples and what Milbrandt is seeing now, there are no signs of a toxic bloom.
Very clear. We're not seeing any signs of discolored water or anything out of balance.
But past patterns show one thing that could change that is what happens this hurricane season.
We had a major hurricane make landfall in 2004, Hurricane Charlie. Following year was what we call a super bloom or a red tide bloom. A similar thing occurred after Hurricane Irma made landfall in 2017, and in 2018 we had a bloom that lasted over 12 months.
Major storms stir up the water and lead to a lot more runoff.
Yeah, as we look to the future, I mean, more hurricanes, maybe more blooms, but we'll wait and find out.
Now, some of these water samples will go off to researchers at the University of Florida. Others will go straight to SCCF's lab. This is where they get to work to understand what's in the water.
Phytoplankton blooms are very hard to study because they're moving around constantly. We have a river, an estuary, we have urban environment around it, and barrier islands, all interacting.
But by having these samples, they hope to get ahead of toxic tides and uncover what is still unknown.
The monthly sampling events have much more detail as far as what species of algae are there. So it's important that we do that.
While this sampling can provide a glimpse of what's happening now, it's a long-term project. SCCF expects to wrap it up sometime next year. I'm on Sanibel Island. Megan Miller, ABC 7.